It's a new year, it's a new round of Premier League fixtures to predict, and of course, the transfer window is open. You're watching Foot and Mouth. Welcome back to Foot in Mouth, and Happy New Year to everybody watching. I hope the 2025 is filled with nothing but blessings and good times for you all. More so for your football clubs that you support, because we know that they do hold a lot of weight on how much fun we all have outside of football. Unfortunately, once upon a time, I was at a point when I had absolutely stopped letting Arsenal upset my weekends, because there was a time, funnily enough, when that was a regular occurrence. But I am heavily invested yet again, and luckily for me, Arsenal aren't doing too badly anymore. But a new year comes with new problems in the form of transfers. Now, the big question I've got right now is, what do you want to see from your club in this transfer window? Obviously, some teams have a lot more to do than others. I'm looking at you, Man United. And there's obviously some rumours already circulating. And one of the biggest rumours, which isn't exactly in the Premier League, but it does affect the Premier League, is what's happening with Dani Olmo, because Barcelona and their financial troubles continue to steal headlines. And it looks like they aren't going to be able to register dude for the second half of the season. I don't understand how they work in their finances. I've never heard of anything like this happening before, where a player can join and be signed on for the first half, and then he may potentially leave for free in January. And if that does happen, that opens a lot of doors to clubs like Manchester United, like Arsenal, like Chelsea probably, because you know Chelsea are looking to buy the rest of the world that they didn't get in the last transfer window in January. So, interesting times. Is Dani Olmo someone that could help your club out? I'm pretty sure he walks into just about any big club in the world right now, bar Real Madrid maybe, or maybe Real Madrid even. But look, someone like Man City could be looking at him. Man City have a fair share of injuries in the midfield. Oscar Bob's still returning from his injury, so he's going to need some time before he gets up to speed again. Someone like Dani Olmo can walk in there and just help them out immediately. So let me know, is Dani Olmo someone that you have your eyes on for your club that you support? And on Man United still, lots of eyeballs on that club, because obviously Ruben Amorim, new manager wants to start shaking things up a little bit, get this team more the squad that he wants. Joshua Zirkzee very much looks like he is not in that equation. Last week out, Manchester United, look, it's one thing to lose to Newcastle at home, but in the way they did it, not a good look. And obviously one of the main talking points from that game was Joshua Zirkzee coming off in the first half, and fans were letting him know just how they feel about him. Homie went straight down the tunnel after the game. Been speculation that it's the last time we'll see him in a United kit. I feel for the guy. I definitely feel for the guy. But at the same time, look, I am of the notion that this was a Ten Hag signing and not an Amorim signing. So I think that he's just a wrong place, wrong time. Or maybe the right place at the wrong time, because I still think there's a player there. It is crazy to think that I was once quite annoyed that United got his signature, because I did want him to sign for Arsenal. But it hasn't worked out for the Dutchman since he's joined the club. Definitely hasn't worked out. And with Højlund's current goal scoring form, whether it be hot and cold, it's definitely more hot than not. So I think Xerxes' days are definitely numbered. Whether they can move him on in January, I'm not sure. But United fans, is this a good decision? Should you guys be looking to get rid of Xerxes now already? I mean, he's still young, But if he isn't a part of the manager's plans, he isn't a part of the manager's plans. Simple as. I just don't know how much money you could get for him. You will have to take a loss, surely. I think United will definitely take a loss on Xerxes whenever they sell him, especially in January. But yeah, it's not just Xerxes. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about Garnacho leaving the club, which I am still stumped by. But if this is disciplinary issues, or if this is just the player's general character or attitude is clashing with management, you got to do what you got to do. I do think it'll still be a mistake for the club to sell Garnacho. I can't lie. I think that Garnacho has been a shining light in otherwise dark times at Manchester United for the longest time. But yeah, it looks like Garnacho could be on the chopping block. Could be on the chopping block as well for Delo, who is another player that I think a lot of United fans would be okay to see leave the club. And then, of course, Anthony. I don't know what you do with this guy. I don't know who's going to take him off United's hands. Maybe a return to Ajax, I mean, the Ajax Anthony was a very different player compared to the United Anthony that we've seen. So, yeah, United fans, do you think you can get some money for these guys in January already? Or is this some deals that are probably going to have to wait for the summer transfer window before you can make anything happen. One thing's for sure is that Amorim is definitely going to try his damnedest to maximize every transfer window that he has and make this team more in the image of the team that he wants at Manchester United. And to be fair, he probably does need to make those cuts, because United's results since Amorim's come in have still been far from great. He's obviously making lemonade with what he has, and the only way that he can get other players in is by getting some players out. Marcus Rashford is probably another player on that chopping block. Manchester United poster boy, as I've always seen him. So some tough decisions going to be made, but it's going to be interesting to see how much United can get for these players. I can't lie. A lot of them are international regulars, but in terms of what we've seen from them at club level for the better part of the last 3-4 years, it's not been good. So I don't see much profit on its way to Manchester United, but it is something that needs to be done. So let me know what you guys would do if you were at Manchester United now. How do you fix this club? How do you get more points on the board and climb that table? Because currently they are in 14th place with 22 points. Shocking, to say the least. I think we've seen previous managers get sacked for less. But obviously Amorim is still very new in the scene. It's right for the board to give him time. I think he should absolutely get time and patience from fans as well, which is very hard to come by in this day and age. But yeah, let me know what you guys think Man United should be doing in the January transfer window, which is not very popular in terms of spending. Although, that could always change, bro. Like I said, we've got clubs like Chelsea in the mix now, just buying up anyone and everyone that they can. And then we've also got another club that I think that needs work done. I think United needs the most work, but another club that I think needs work is my club, Arsenal. Obviously, Bukayo Saka's injury doesn't help anything. He's rumored to be out for, I think, like 2 months minimum, which isn't great. Came over the hamstring injury not too long ago. And yeah, it's a little bit scary, because there's no doubt in my mind that he is our most important player. I don't think there's any doubt in anybody's minds that Bukayo Saka is Arsenal's most important player. We saw how we played without Martin Odegaard for a while. Started out okay, but those last few games before his return from injury were touch and go. Not very many wins in that run. But Bukayo Saka missing, I think, is well worse. And we've had one game without him. Started the new year with the game against Brentford away from home. And we looked decent, to be honest, to be fair. Ethan Nwaneri came in on the right wing and looked a player. This is a dude that can fit in a lot of positions. He's very versatile. He can cover for Odegaard, he can cover for Saka. And I'm very curious to see if this is enough to make Arteta go, you know what, we're not going to sign anybody. Because I think it'll be a mistake. I still think that we need a quality, proven wide player. All due respect to Nwaneri. I just don't think he needs that pressure on him. Although, pressure makes diamonds. So maybe this is exactly what he needs. Maybe this is part of Arteta's vision for him. And another player that could have Arteta second-guessing things is Gabriel Jesus. The striker's had a proper turnaround of form. I think he's got 6 goals in 4 games to his name now. 5 of those goals are against Crystal Palace in 2 separate games. But we know Arteta. This is something that he does. Once he has his squad together, he's very much of the opinion that he's going to stick with that squad. But there are a lot of rumours that Arsenal are very much in the market for a striker. We've had names like Dusan Vlahovic linked to the club again. Obviously linked to us in the past. Turned us down for Juventus. Hasn't been having the best time in Juventus. So Arteta's looking to be a little bit of a saviour again. Much like how we did with Kai Havertz. And obviously there's still Gyökeres, who is being linked to any big club in Europe. And I don't know, Alexander Isak as well, of course. But Isak, there's no way that's happening in Jan, unless you literally break every record football has ever seen so far for a transfer fee, because Newcastle are very much enjoying that guy's return to form. And it's mid-season, bro. No one wants to sell their main player mid-season, especially if you can't find an adequate replacement, which for Alexander Isak at Newcastle, you probably won't. So yeah, Arsenal got a lot of dealings going. Any Arsenal fans out there, what do you want to see from the club? I think that we need to get a wide player. I'll come with a more of a list on the next episode, but for now, I'm just thinking general wide player, because Sterling is also out injured a little bit, looks like it. There's also question marks over Kieran Tierney. There's rumours that Arsenal are in the works and the process of getting him to get back to Celtic. I don't know if it's a loan deal or a transfer deal. I'm a little sad by this, I can't lie. I rate Kieran Tierney very much. I was especially happy to see him return back to the squad after his injury. But it makes sense, we are stacked in the left-back department. On top of that, Miles Lewis-Skelly coming into the first team now looks a real talent. So I wouldn't want to see him fall down the pecking order. I want him to keep getting his experience as often as he can. Same goes for Nwaneri, you know. I want to see a wide player come in, but I also don't want Nwaneri to be completely written out of the first team. But yeah, Kieran Tierney looks like he's on his way back to Celtic, which good move for him, really good move for him. It's just disappointing as a fan. This was a guy that was once upon a time like being pushed by the fans to be Arsenal's captain at one stage, you know, during lockdown Arsenal. Lockdown Arsenal was a very different team to what we have right now, but there's no doubting just how talented the player can be when he's injury free. It's just whenever that is, bro. It's so rare. So looks like Kieran Tierney's on his way out. Yeah, Arsenal definitely have to do something, especially if we want to keep up this title challenge, which we are still in, very much so, especially after that Brentford win. But yeah, you know, sitting in second place, 6 points behind Liverpool, who do have a game in hand as well. You're gonna need to do a little bit more to make sure that gap doesn't get any bigger. And you're going to need to do a bit more, I think, to get a win over Liverpool when we do face them later in the season. So, yeah, I'm thinking Arsenal have to at least sign one player, bro. And it's got to be an attacking player. Arteta, no more defenders, bro. This dude has an obsession with signing defensive players. It is unreal. But, yeah, at least the players that we have, I'm not saying that they aren't good enough. I'm just saying that I think we are doing ourselves and this title challenge a disservice if we don't bring in necessary reinforcements for the rest of the season. There's a lot of football to be played. We're in a good position in the Carabao Cup, good position in the Champions League, good position in the Premier League, good position in the FA Cup, which obviously is a game against Manchester United. So we're going to need to rotate. We are definitely competing on all fronts, and that can only continue if we have an adequate amount of first team ready players in this team, which I don't think we have at the moment. So Arsenal definitely have some work to do. Aston Villa may look to do something in this transfer window just to help their fortunes, because they've been very up and down, finding themselves in 9th place this season. I predicted them for a top 4 finish this season. It obviously could still happen. There's still plenty of football to be played, but a club like Nottingham Forest is doing everything they can to make that a difficult task for clubs like Villa and for Newcastle as well. So I think Villa will probably need to be busy. Where they improve, I'm not very sure. I'd say defensively, from the outside looking in, I think defensively they could do a little bit better, maybe with their fullbacks. Aside from that, bro, yeah, let me know what clubs you guys think needs the most work. Manchester City, obviously, this could be their main turnaround point of the season. They've been disappointing for the better part of the last few months. They now find themselves in 6th place on 31 points, well behind Liverpool. Pep has declared already that they're out of the title race, but it's Man City. You know, anything can happen, especially with a transfer window in the works. But then again, all these charges that they've just faced the trial for, we don't know how that's going to affect their spending abilities. So I don't think that Man City are going to be too active. And I still think that they've got a squad that's good enough to get by as is. Maybe not to win the title, but I mean, they should definitely get back into Champions League placing sooner rather than later. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in this transfer window. What are you guys expecting from it? There's always, like I said, there's not much to expect from a January transfer window, but I think times are changing, and I think a lot of clubs are opening up their eyes to realize that they've got to take advantage of every window that comes their way, even if it means you got to overspend a little bit. Now we get down to the business end of things, though, and we're looking at predictions for this weekend's games. Biggest game of the weekend, without a doubt, Liverpool versus Manchester City. This is at Anfield. I'm sorry, Manchester United, I'm going to say it here and now. Liverpool win this. I hope and I pray that Manchester United prove me wrong. If ever there was a time for this club to prove me wrong, please let it be this game week. Because Man United are going into this game without any chance. I don't know anybody. I think even Manchester United fans wouldn't give their club much of a chance going into this game. Liverpool are the best team in the world right now. And no one can argue that, bro. They are absolutely flying in every competition that they are in. The amount of goals they are scoring, the amount of goals they are conceding, they are just absolute pure football at this moment. Arne Slot, manager of the season. Mo Salah, best player in the world. There is no doubt in my mind that this man, especially if things continue, he's taking the next Ballon d'Or. And it's going to be a long overdue Ballon d'Or for him, because I think he's deserved one even before this season. I think on at least 2 or 3 separate occasions, this guy probably should have been at least in the top 3 when it comes to the Ballon d'Or. But you can't deny him anymore, bro. I also think that he's on the fast track to beat Thierry Henry's record of most goals and assists in a single season by a single player. I would have loved to see Bukayo Saka do it, but I think Mo Salah is just in a league of his own right now, and he will be far too much for Manchester United on the day, bro. FPL players, I'm keeping Salah as my captain because this is especially a game that he loves to turn up for. So, Man United versus Liverpool, bro. Yeah, this is Liverpool all day. I don't even care how Manchester United line up. I'm just telling it like it is. Manchester United could honestly line up however they want. I think Liverpool's B team at this point can take out Man United. But I've been wrong before. I can't see myself being wrong this weekend. And I hope that I am actually wrong, bro. Because Liverpool need to drop some points. And if Man United can be a club to take points off of them, then I think that's a win-win-win-win-win. You know, Arsenal fans are happy, United fans are happy. They have a little bit more chest. Yes, it may be a bit of an annoying thing to be on football Twitter at that time after their win, but it'll be worth it because Liverpool drop points. But I just can't see it happening, dude. I don't know which United players are going to break down that defense at Liverpool. I don't know which Liverpool players aren't going to break down the United defense as things stand. It's the best versus 14th. And that's the sad reality of it, man. The table doesn't lie. Man United are 14th, 22 points. Liverpool flying high in first. And, oh, man, I wish I could predict a United win here. But I can't even pretend that I think United have a chance. I think this is Liverpool all day. I think you could see another 7-0, especially with the controversies going around at United at this moment. I don't think very many players are very comfortable in that environment. They're obviously coming off the back of a 2-0 loss to Newcastle. It's just a recipe for disaster, in my opinion. If Amorim can actually get a result out of this game, then it'll just further solidify how he may very well be the right man for United. But I just don't see it happening. Let me know your guys' prediction for the score in this game. It's at Anfield, like I said, which I think is a very decisive factor. But more so, bro, just the wave that Liverpool are riding at this moment versus the wave that Man United are just drowning in, bro. This is Liverpool all day. I'm going to say 4-1 Liverpool. 4-1. And that's me being kind. Arsenal and Brentford have already played. They played on New Year's Day. And it was a very nice 3-1 win for Arsenal. One that I was happy to watch. Finally, could stay up for an Arsenal game and enjoy it from start to finish. This week, we have got Brighton away. And that's another tricky fixture. But I don't want to get ahead of myself. But I do want to say that if we could beat Brentford at home, at the GTEC Stadium. Brentford, who have, I think, the best home record in the league this season. Brighton have looked very shaky. Brighton have looked very up and down for the most part. They also did get themselves a draw against Aston Villa at Villa Park, which is a difficult place to go. So I commend them on that point. But like I've said, Aston Villa are also a bit up and down, up and down. So I think Arsenal going to this game, absolutely with the advantage. That much is very much certain. Brighton are currently 10th in the league, Arsenal being second. But Brighton away has been tricky for Arsenal before. And this will be a little bit of a grudge match, I think, considering how the season started with us when we played against Brighton at the Emirates. That game ended in a draw. That game had a very controversial sending off for Declan Rice with his second yellow card for time wasting. So I think a lot of the players will be a little bit miffed with how that played out, and they're going to want to set the record straight. I still think that Brighton can cause us troubles, but I think that we'll have enough to get the better of them. A lot of their mainstay players are dangers. Like João Pedro, when he's in, he's a danger. Mitoma's had a quiet season in terms of goals and assists, but I still think that he is more than enough of a skilled player to trouble our fullback. I think he's going to be coming up against whoever's at right back. It's looking like it's going to be Thomas Partey, which is disappointing because Julian Timber's going to be suspended for this game after getting X amount of yellow cards. I think it's 5 yellow cards. So he's suspended for this game, which probably means Thomas Partey goes back to right back, which I hate seeing, especially when it means he's going to be coming up against a wide player like Mitoma. So that makes things interesting. I think Arsenal are going to need to keep things tight at the back to make up for that lack of an actual right back there. But I still think we'll have enough in the tank to get a win here. I don't think it's going to be comfortable. I think David Raya last week against Brentford had some moments that were nervy. Obviously, the first goal, I think he was beaten a little bit easily by Mbeumo. There was another moment later in the game where a shot basically fired through his fingertips and he had to save it on the line. So, but I think a lot of that was also him being in his head. It was the first time he's playing against Brentford since he joined Arsenal. So there are excuses for it, but I don't think you're going to see a repeat of that. He's had a very good season so far, in my opinion. I think it's going to continue in this game. And I think Nwaneri will probably start at right wing again. We didn't see any Kai Havertz in the last game, down to what sounded like a bit of a bug going through the Arsenal team. Whether he's back for this game or not, I'm not sure. But I think even if he is, I would pretty much start the exact same lineup that we played against Brentford. I think the team worked well. I think that even when we were 1-0 down, the team never looked like they were going to lose that game. And I think the players deserve the opportunity to have a second go of it. Obviously, just the only difference there is going to be Thomas Partey going to right back, which probably means Declan Rice starts this game, which is nice. He didn't start the Brentford game. But yeah, in terms of the fullback situation, I don't know. I feel like I'd be more tempted to chance Calafiori at right back, just so you can play Lewis Kelly at left back instead. I think Calafiori is very much like Timber. He's good enough to play on both sides. I could be wrong, obviously. But yeah, I would do that just to avoid Thomas Partey having to play at right back again. My prediction for this game, I'm going to say Arsenal. Look, if we could do 3-1 Brentford, we can do 3-1 Brighton. I'm going to say 3-1 Arsenal against Brighton. Let me know your predictions for that game. And then we've got a very big game this weekend between Tottenham and Newcastle. Now, Spurs, what a club, bro. Ange Postecoglou, I think this win would go a long way in his keeping his job, because I think he's on fine ice at this moment, bro. Spurs currently sitting in 11th on 24 points. Newcastle in 5th with 32 points. So Newcastle definitely the superior club here. This is at Spurs' home ground, which you'd think gives them a bit of an advantage. However, last week at their home ground, they did throw away a lead to end up drawing with Wolves 2-2. Wolves are nowhere near as good as Newcastle are, especially this current Newcastle team. They look like they have found serious form and they just keep improving game after game, week after week. So probably not the best time to go up against a Newcastle side. And I'm actually going to give it to Newcastle, I can't lie. I think Spurs have obviously got their injury problems, which doesn't help. But I also don't think that Ange's tactics have helped him. He's very stubborn to switch it up, and I think he's going to need to if he plans on getting anything out of this game, even though it's at Spurs' home ground. Newcastle look ruthless at this moment, bro. They look ruthless, and coming into this game off the back of a 2-0 win at Old Trafford against Man United, Alexander Isak finding the back of the net again. This dude is unstoppable as things stand. Their midfield is so much stronger than Spurs, in my opinion. So I can't look past Newcastle for this game. I think that, like I say, a win here for Spurs would definitely do wonders. I think not only for the manager, but also for the team's morale, team spirit, because they need to absolutely start racking up positive results. They are obviously in the semi-finals of the Carabao Cup as well, albeit playing against Liverpool. It's going to be over 2 legs. So how they want to balance their team out and rotate them, that's on them. But I think at this point, is it worth prioritizing a Carabao Cup trophy, a potential Carabao Cup trophy, over your league position? Or do you need to get back higher in the league table? It's a tricky situation, man, and one that I am happy my club are not in. But Spurs definitely need a trophy. I think Spurs could probably finish like literally 17th, but if they get a Carabao Cup, and just going down as a legend at the club, bro. I think this is going to be a tough one, but I'm going to back Newcastle for this game. And this isn't even out of some spiteful, oh, I hate Spurs nonsense. This is just genuine football brain time. I can't look past Newcastle for this game, bro. I'm going to go Newcastle win this 2-1. I'm going to say 2-1 Newcastle. We've also got Crystal Palace at home to Chelsea this weekend, which, considering Chelsea's recent turn of form, this could be a bit of a challenge for them. It's a game before that I would have easily predicted a Chelsea win with. Although Crystal Palace at Selhurst Park, even on their worst day, can be a bit of a challenge. So, I don't know. I mean, Chelsea obviously got dunked on by Ipswich. And what makes that even more like, what adds to the drama of that was just the fact that Omari Hutchinson doing his trademark backflip celebration against Chelsea, a club who he just left, mind you. I love that player, dude. I was so bummed when he left Arsenal, let alone left Arsenal for Chelsea. But it kind of makes up for it a little bit, considering how he celebrated like that against Chelsea. So, yeah, I got a lot of love for that dude. But yeah, Ipswich 2-0 winners. That was the Chelsea away loss for them. So, clearly away day is not their favorite thing. So, I think Chelsea versus Palace at Selhurst Park. Look, Palace could do very little against Arsenal, but Arsenal are not Chelsea. I think Arsenal are definitely better than Chelsea are. I don't know, but Palace beat Southampton 2-1 last time out. I think they would have liked it to be a bit more comfortable. I'm not saying Palace are the best team. I'm not saying that they're even on Chelsea's level. I'm just saying that Chelsea look like they are having a little bit of turn in their fortunes, outside of the Conference League, of course. And this game is not looking as clear-cut as I think it once was. So for this one, I'm honestly going to predict a draw. I'd love to see a Palace win, but I'm going to predict a draw here. I think that Mateta has at least shown that he is still that guy at Crystal Palace. I think he can hurt Chelsea's backline. I think he's a smart, strong striker. Someone that I honestly believe some clubs could be looking at, if not in January, then at the end of the season. But I don't think he's going to stay at Palace for very much longer, especially if things continue the way that they are going. Palace are currently 15th on 20 points. Chelsea, of course, in 4th. They've got 35 points right now. So, yeah, I think that Palace have some players. Eze is a threat. Eze is definitely a threat. If you can mark him out the game, then we've seen before the difference that it makes to Crystal Palace's whole game plan. But Mateta is someone that I think is a striker that can make something out of nothing. And I think that he has enough to at least hurt Chelsea a little bit on the day. So I'm going to say this will be a 1-1. I think 1-1. I think Palace are going to play a very reserved game. They're going to have everybody and their mothers behind the ball in their own half and defend, and take their chances smart. But yeah, I think that this is a little bit of a tricky fixture for Chelsea. Wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea win it. Would be much more surprised if Palace win it, of course. But I'm going to go with the draw for this game. I'm going to say 1-1. I think Cole Palmer gets a cheeky goal. He didn't score in the Ipswich game, obviously. But I think it's been a while since we've seen his name in the headlines as well. And he doesn't normally disappear for too long. So I think Cole Palmer comes back into the equation in this game. But I cannot give Chelsea a win here. Crystal Palace, Chelsea 1-1. We've also got Bournemouth versus Everton at Bournemouth's home. Everton looking like they trying to find a way out of this rut. It doesn't look like it's absolutely happening for them. But I think this is a little bit of a favorable game for them. Bournemouth look like they've cooled off a little bit, considering how strong a start they made to the season. I still think that their manager, I can't get to his name now, the Spaniard, but I think he's a hell of a manager. I still think the team has some very good players. You're looking at Sami Ento and Lewis Cook. They've got some nice players. They're obviously not household names, but I think that they've got a good team. They've got a good team. They've got a good structure. And I think Everton right now don't have those things. They don't have a good team. They don't have a good structure. The fact that it's at Bournemouth's home as well, I'm favoring Bournemouth in this game. Bournemouth, who, by the way, I do have to give credit to, because when they sold Dominic Solanke, a lot of people thought that they were crazy regardless of the money that they got, just because they reinvested it in, Ivan Nielsen, who I think had a slow start to his life at Bournemouth, but he's starting to show more often now that he is a really good player. I rated him when he was at Porto. I rated the signing of him to Bournemouth. I thought it was a very, very big coup of a signing. I think that's how you use that phrase. But yeah, I thought that for them to get a player of his caliber made a statement, and I think that he is proving money well spent right now. They've obviously still got some money left over from the Solanke deal, so they may be a club that's active in January. There's a lot of players that are on the sidelines at a lot of Premier League clubs, and while these players aren't good enough for their current clubs, I think they are able to improve a club like Bournemouth. So wouldn't be surprised. And Everton, honestly, they just pretty much look dead in the water at this moment. So I'm not looking past Bournemouth for this game. I'm going to say this is a comfortable Bournemouth 2-0 win. We spoke about Aston Villa earlier. Aston Villa are playing against Leicester City at home. Very bad fixture for Leicester to go into. I think it's a favourable one for Aston Villa. It's a way for them to kind of turn things around a little bit more. Get a win on the back of their 2-2 draw with Brighton last weekend. John Duran obviously did not play against Brighton because he was suspended. He will be back for the Arsenal game, unfortunately. But whether it's him or Ollie Watkins there, bro, you can bet that there's going to be goals in this game for Aston Villa. I don't see Leicester really doing much in terms of goals in this game. I think that Leicester are just, at this moment in time now, they are 2 points clear from the relegation. They are in the relegation zone, sorry. They're 2 points away from being clear from the relegation zone. I think you look at this weekend, you've got Wolves versus Nottingham Forest. I think this is a very good opportunity for Leicester to try and, even if you just get 1 point against Aston Villa, against all odds, don't try and be heroes. If you can try and get 1 point against Aston Villa, you give yourself a little bit more of a chance to get out of the relegation zone, because I think Wolves are going to drop points against Forest, and if not against Forest, they will drop points in their future games. Leicester need to have just one or two surprise results that give them a bit of an advantage if they've got any hope of surviving the Premier League this season. I've always thought that it's worse to play against clubs who are fighting relegation than it is for clubs who are fighting for a Champions League place, just because they literally have nothing to lose at some point. Leicester aren't in that category just yet. They do still have something to lose. They've still got something to play for as well. When you consider they are 19th on 14 points, 16th place got 17 points. 16th place is Everton. That's another club that I think is going to drop points this weekend. So it's going to be against all odds. But Leicester, I think, will have to do everything they can to just not lose this game. This is a game where it's draw or win, do not lose. And I think it could go a long way for the Premier League campaign. I don't think it's going to happen. I just think that if I was at Leicester, in the Leicester camp, that would be the message to the players and the staff and everybody. We cannot lose this game. Aston Villa, like I said, they aren't exactly the most consistent team right now. They do still have a lot of quality in the team, but I think to go up against them at this moment in time may be a bit favourable for them. This is not the best we've seen Aston Villa. It's not the best Aston Villa looking side right now. So take advantage of it however you can and try and get a point at least. But I'm still backing Villa in this game. Still backing Villa for this game. I'm going to say Villa are going to win this 2-1. 2-1 Aston Villa. Maybe 2-0. Maybe 2-0. But I'm going to say 2-1. 2-1 Aston Villa in this game. And then, yeah, I think a win here is big for either club. You know, Leicester obviously climb out of the relegation zone if things go their way with other results. And Aston Villa get themselves another win, which means that they are able to at least climb from 9th to possibly 5th, bro, depending on how results go elsewhere. So it's a big win for either club. It's a big game for both clubs. But I'm back in Aston Villa here. We've also got Manchester City at home to West Ham. Man City obviously finally getting a win. Finally. It was their second win in 13 games or something. They beat Leicester 2-0, and that was at Leicester's home ground. So Leicester losing to City is no surprise there. I don't think it's any shame on the players for losing to City, even though City have looked absolutely terrible in recent times. I think this is a very good game for City to go into now. It's at the Etihad. It's against West Ham, another club that look just terrible. 9 times out of 10, this is a club that looks like they have no clue what they are doing, where they are going. I think Lopetegui is definitely more on the chopping block than Ange Postecoglou is. The downside for Lopetegui is that, or not the downside for him, sorry. I guess, yeah, the downside for him is that Spurs are more likely to hold on to Ange, especially while they're still in the cup run. West Ham, they could honestly do well just to get rid of this guy sooner rather than later. But now the question is, who do you bring in? You know, I don't know all the options that are currently available, but I don't think West Ham exactly have that pool where they can just upgrade on a manager at will. You know, obviously you do still have someone like Graham Potter, who is available. I'd love to see Graham Potter at West Ham. I've said this before. But it's going to be interesting to see if they stick with Lopetegui, even if they manage to get something out of this game. It just doesn't look like it's working out for him. He made some very good signings. I thought West Ham had probably the best transfer window of the league in the last window between them and Manchester United. And both clubs that are pipped to have the best transfer windows are now absolutely struggling in the Premier League. West Ham do find themselves above Manchester United against all odds. Can't believe it. I thought that even though United have been but downward more often than not, I thought they were still doing better than West Ham. But looking at this league table, West Ham are ahead of United, which is crazy. But yeah, it's a good game for Man City to go into. It's a very bad game for West Ham to go into. Last time out, West Ham obviously lost 5-0 to Liverpool. So they are going to be a little bit scarred after that result. And from Liverpool to Manchester City, it's not a fun time, especially if you're a club like West Ham. So I'm going to give Man City a win here. I think that they get themselves their 3rd win in 14 games. And I think this is going to be a comfortable one for Man City at the Etihad, bro. I'm going to say this is possibly another 5-0 on the cards, but I'm going to say 4-0. I'll be kind again. It's a new year. I'm going to say 4-0 Man City. We've got Fulham at home to Ipswich. As much as I like Ipswich, especially after the Chelsea win, Fulham are still my second team. They're my B team this season. Last time out, they didn't manage to get the win. They got a 2-2 draw with Bournemouth. Again, Bournemouth are no slouches. They are no pushovers. So I think that was a respectable result for them. They will want to return with 3 points and a win. I think they get it this weekend against Ipswich. It's at Craven Cottage. this Fulham team are still, for the most part, looking quite good. So I'm going to give it to Fulham. I'm going to say this is possibly a 2-0 win. Ipswich just had a 2-0 win. I think they'll be on the receiving end of a 2-0 loss this time around. So I'm going to go 2-0 Fulham here. We've got Southampton at home to Brentford. Now, it's Brentford. We can keep this one very short. It's Brentford. Southampton, we've said it time and time again, they are going down this season. Unfortunately, would have loved to see them stay up. But, dude, 19 games in and you got 6 points. Bottom of the table. Nah, there's no way that you turn this around. I think Southampton are gone as gone can be. And I do honestly believe that it's just going to go from worse to worse for them, bro. Brentford are a very good team. And although they didn't beat Arsenal last time out, we are Arsenal. Southampton, I don't think they've got any chance in this game. I'm going to say this is a Brentford 4-1 win, 4-1 Brentford. And the last game we're going to speak about is Wolves versus Nottingham Forest at Wolves' home. Now, Wolves have looked better under new management. That much is for damn sure. But Nottingham Forest are currently third, bruh. Nottingham Forest making a proper Champions League push this season. I think Nuno's got them playing brilliant football. Absolutely loving what we're seeing from this club. And look, last time out, they obviously did get a win against Everton, 2-0, and that was away from home. So we know they can do it away from home. I think this is low-key going to be a very good watch. I think it's going to be a very good watch. Wolves absolutely need a win because they are desperate to pull away from the relegation zone. But Nottingham Forest obviously are trying to keep this very unlikely Champions League push alive. So I think it's a good chance for them to do just that. Definitely a good chance for them to do just that, especially if you get clubs like Arsenal. We have a tricky game against Brighton. Chelsea have a tricky game against Crystal Palace. Nottingham Forest could climb into second again by the end of this game week. And it just furthers the belief in the players. It furthers the belief for the supporters. Yeah, it's a very, very big game for them. And I think that they're going to turn up to the occasion. We've seen Nottingham Forest deliver Liverpool's only defeat of the season at Anfield. So going to the Molineux, I don't see why it'd be much of a challenge for them, bro. Those players are flying high. There's a hell of a lot less concern, a lot less worry at that club than there is at Wolves, because again, for all the credit that goes to Wolves for turning around their form, they are literally still just 1 point above relegation. So it wouldn't surprise me if that is getting a little bit to the players. The manager himself, though, all credit to him. He has turned this team around in his last 2-3 games. And yeah, last week, they obviously got a 2-2 draw at Spurs, which you can't just write off, bro. The fact that they were trailing for most of that game as well is a lot of credit goes to the team. I think they equalized in the 80-something minute as well. So that was a proper show of what this team can do. I just think that on this day, Nottingham Forest have a lot more to play for. I think they wanted more. I think they've shown that more consistently throughout the season. And I'm backing Nottingham Forest for this game. I'm going to say this is a Forest 2-1 win. 2-1 win. Morgan Gibbs-White, by the way. What a player. This is someone that I would low-key love to see come to Arsenal. I don't know how Arteta would fit him into the team, but I have always liked that player. And in recent weeks, this guy is showing more and more why he's a player I'd like to see get a step up to a big, big club in the Premier League. But that does it for predictions this week. Let me know your guys' predictions. Happy New Year again. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel for more, and we'll catch you in the next one.